Welcome back to Topics on the Hill. If you are just joining us, we just started our show, and today is our second episode on the second season of Topics on the Hill. And indeed, I'm excited to go into our program. But just before we go into the program, Raman, I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I am, well, coping. I'm trying to survive. I recently started my little fitness journey.
Yes,
so I'm
I
in
noticed.
the gym, I'm lifting my weights, I'm doing my planks, I'm doing my sit-ups, I'm trying to get my body in order. But separate and apart from that, I've been spending a lot of time with myself, and I've been spending a lot of time learning about myself, and that in and of itself has been incredibly fulfilling.
Absolutely.
And one of the main lessons that I've learned, you know, spending time with myself, is that sometimes you have to make sacrifices.
So
and
true.
sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you're too comfortable, and in that comfort, we become what? Stagnant.
That's so true.
And as growing adults and teenagers and even the elderly people, we cannot be stagnant.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
How are you
And
doing?
I mean, like you, I am coping. You know,
Yeah.
this is a new, even though we've been doing this for months now, it is
Yeah.
still fairly new. It's going to take some getting used to, you know, this online platform, online learning. But I've been able to manage, and I know that a lot of students watching right now can relate that it's taking some time to get
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
However, you have to recognize what your priorities are
Yeah.
and decide that, okay, today I'm doing this,
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm doing this, and just
Right.
pace yourself, because you don't want to be
Right.
overworking yourself, but at the same time, you don't want to be procrastinating. So
Right.
with God's help, we're taking it one step at a time.
And our first guest did just that. In studio with us, well, joining us via Zoom, we have 28-year-old Cori Gordon, the director of Cori, an independent courier that partners directly with Amazon to deliver packages to consumers.
The St. Catherine native has a very inspiring story, and indeed we are pleasured to have her on our show today. But just before Miss Gordon come, here is a very brief report on her story.
30, but a small business owner is leading dozens of employees during the pandemic. CBS 2's Dave Carlin introduces us to a young entrepreneur who is making history.
At 28 years old, Cori Gordon is CEO of Cori, her own delivery business.
160 stops, you got this.
Gordon and her more than 50 employees are in the pressure-filled race to get packages for Amazon from the Staten Island Fulfillment Center to destinations in Brooklyn.
Bay Ridge, okay. We are an independent company that has been contracted by Amazon to offer this service, so we deliver on their behalf to customers.
Drive has dominated her life. Born and raised on the island of Jamaica, she's the eldest of 9 kids. After graduating Northern Caribbean University and moving to Brooklyn in 2013, jobs in sales and automotive operations had her longing to work for herself. Her big break was a program at Amazon, giving aspiring entrepreneurs tools for starting up companies to handle last-mile deliveries. Of about 1,300 delivery service partners, she is the youngest, and she does it her way.
I only show up as my authentic self. I know nothing else. There's not a separation between the Jamaican side of myself and the professional Cori that you see today. I am all of that all together, and it's what makes me as successful as I am, I believe.
She has accomplished so much before the age of 30, and you think to enjoy it, she might slow down just a little bit? Nope, quite the opposite.
There are other things that I'm going to do that are unrelated to my current company.
Give thanks to the Holy One.
She sings, plays guitar, and her future involves more building, more hiring, and being inspiring.
She's closer to my age, so it's like you can relate to her on many levels.
Cori is young, but that hasn't limited her trajectory at all. She's motivated. Has proven results and success as a leader and a CEO of her own company, and we're honored to partner with her.
Just start. You will never feel 100% prepared for anything in life because there are always going to be unknowns, so just do it.
She says to be like her, be fearless, stay true to yourself, and keep it moving. In Bloomfield, Staten Island, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
Be fearless, stay true to yourself, and keep it moving. What a spectacular story. Hi, Miss Gordon. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, before we jump deep into your story, I want to ask you this. Now, I grew up as an only child, Corey. So when I heard you had 8 siblings, my mind was, in a sense, blown.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was that like? And how did that experience inform where you are today?
Well, you know what? I was an only child for about 15 years before my parents started having kids. So I can relate to you on that note. But it's been wonderful having my siblings. They are so interested in everything that I've got going on. And it's an honor to me to be able to inspire them with all that I'm doing. So I'm very grateful for them. But I loved being an only child as well.
You came to NCU. What year did you start NCU and what was your major?
I started in 2009, graduated in 2013. I majored in business administration with an emphasis in accounting.
Nice. Now, you left Jamaica in 2013 to pursue your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. That couldn't have been an easy decision. Well, let me not make an assumption. Was that an easy decision for you?
Well, that decision was made for me by my mom, and I'm glad that she did because I did not want to leave Jamaica. She had been planning for many years for us to immigrate to the States. And as soon as I was done with college, she booked us a flight and we flew to North Carolina, where I lived for a few years before exploring the rest of the States.
Love that.
Now, Ramon, I want to backtrack a little bit. Miss Gordon, you are a former student of NCU. Tell us what your experience at NCU was like.
Oh, it was wonderful. I was involved in student government. As I'm sure you know, I was the vice president and the president of BASO, Go BASO. I was also involved in the chamber choir, Hands of Praise. I did debating as well. So my life was very busy at NCU. And I think a large part of my success is to be credited for the student leadership that I was involved with at the school.
Now, it's very clear that from a very young age, you knew exactly the direction that you wanted to go. So tell us, what was or is your biggest motivation?
That's always been intrinsic for me. My dad is a fearless man who has tried many things in his life, and he's been very successful with his businesses. My mom is extremely resilient, and so I take a lot of courage from her. Throughout my life, they've always prepared a very safe space for me to express myself and try whatever I wanted to do. So I always felt like there were no limitations. So for me, my motivation is my personal commitment to excellence.
Right. Now, Corey, you did not wake up a Titan, yeah? When you moved to North Carolina, you worked in the automotive industry, you worked in retail, and in your story I was reading, you worked long hours, and it was getting to you. And one day you just decided enough is enough. Am I right? Yeah?
Yeah, something like that.
No, girl, that is scary. That is terrifying. Leaving security for uncertainty. Tell me, how did you do it?
Wow. I mean, most of the rewards that I've experienced in life, I've gotten because I've taken really big risks. Nothing was terrifying to me. I never felt out of place. It just all felt like I was where I needed to be. So when I first moved to the States, I started working in retail sales as a sales associate at Nordstrom. Worked for about 6 months before I was promoted within the company to a managerial position. And then I was introduced to Tesla when I moved to the Northeast, and they brought me on board to manage their sales team before promoting me to manage operations across the tri-state area. So I've had my feet in a few different industries, but I feel that all of that was to prepare me for my role as chief executive officer in my company. And that to me is the most humbling experience of them all.
All right, let's talk about your company. You took the leap of faith and you reached out to Amazon, yeah? Give us the origin story.
Okay, so I was working for Tesla for a few years and I absolutely loved my job, but I was putting in 80 plus hours every week. And even though the company is very mission driven and that's what drew me to the company in the first place, I just needed something that was more personal and that felt like I was investing in my own. So one day I could possibly give back my company to my siblings, for example. So I simply went online and I was Googling business opportunities in my area and saw the advertisement for the Amazon Delivery Service Partner Program, read all the details, and it was so serendipitous how all the details of their requirements matched perfectly with my skills, my experience, my training that I have garnered over the years. So I applied, and then within, I think, 2 weeks, I had gotten a call to do a virtual interview with them. I did that interview. Subsequent to that, I was doing a series of interviews that were in person in Manhattan. And then I found out I was chosen, and all that was left was for me to formally register my business and start the process of hiring and getting everything together for launch.
And now you have over 50 employees
I
working for
do.
you. No, so, Cori, how are you doing this? How are you? You are 28 years old. A lot of people in the industry probably saying this young girl don't know what she's
Yeah.
doing. She enough. She's here. She's loud. She's present. Yeah. How are you doing this?
Sure. Well, you know what? If they're thinking that, that's their concern. That has nothing to
I
do
know
with
that's
me.
right.
But when I first started the company, I was doing most of the work myself. So if you think about it, I did the licensing, the operations, payroll, hiring, recruiting, training, tax preparation, all of those details I was doing myself. And a lot of it I had to teach myself. So I had to read online. I was tapping into the resources of experienced business owners that were in my circle to get some information on the things that I didn't know that I didn't know. So I did a lot of it myself, but because of that, I was able to create the culture that I wanted in my company. And I'm happy to say today, I'm no longer involved in the daily operations because I've built a really successful team. I've hired an operations manager. I've got a number of supervisors who are working and managing the team for me. So I don't need to be there as much as I was when I first launched the company.
Miss Gordon, it's pretty evident that you do not intend to stop anytime soon. Where do you see yourself as well as this business in the next few years?
Definitely not stopping. We are planning to grow beyond where we are. So as you know, we service Staten Island and the Brooklyn areas in New York, and we are continually getting more routes from Amazon, and that's just a testament to the performance of the team. But separate from that, we're introducing a number of auxiliary services for the team because I'm really big on employee experience and making sure that they feel confident in the job and they feel recognized and appreciated by us. So we're offering a number of services to come later on this year for the team, as well as a few new business ventures that I'm working on.
Nice. Now, Cori, your story is so inspiring. You're
Thank
living
you.
proof that once you put your mind to something, you can achieve it.
That's faith.
No matter how big it looks, no matter how scary it looks, once you believe in yourself and your vision and your goals and go after it, you can achieve it. Now, I want you to give a message to a young entrepreneur out there right now. They may be nervous about taking the first step. They don't know what to do, how to do it, but they know that this is what they want to do. What do you say to them? What do you say to them?
Remain teachable.
Wow.
I said in my interview with CBS, and I'll stick by this, that there are so many things that are still ambiguous to me and that I'm learning on a daily basis. It doesn't matter how successful you are, all the training and experience that you've got in life, there are going to be things that you just do not know. And some of the best leaders and professionals I know are people who remain teachable. They recognize their limitations and they recognize their strengths, and they tap into that and lean on themselves when they recognize that they've got the expertise to do something, but they're also really good at self-reflecting and being honest to say, I'm not the best in this area. This is not my expertise. So let me tap into those around me who are much more experienced in this field. You will go so far in life if you are very transparent with yourself about who you are and what you know, and if you utilize the people who are around you. So be discerning, take advice, but make sure that you use the parts of those advice that are relevant to you, but always remain teachable.
Now, Cori, to close, I have one more question to ask you. Yeah, or
Sure.
one more thing to ask of you. This is a man's world, right? Misogyny is nasty. Division is nasty. The patriarchy is a beast. Am I right? Now, I asked you before to give advice to young entrepreneurs. Now, I want you to give some advice to young women across the world. How do you stand up and hold your own in a man's world?
The first thing is, do not explain your credibility. Do not tell them why you deserve to be in the room or why you are more qualified. Shock them with how prepared you are, shock them with how intelligent you are, and just be authentic. There's no reason for you to explain to them why you're in the room or why you're deserving. Show up with your results.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Cori Gordon, Director of Core to You. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us here on Topics on the Hill. On the other side of the break, I'm going to be speaking with the president of the Excelsior Club and the president of the Phil Melodia Club. We're going to be talking about hall feuds here on Topics on the Hill. Don't go too far.
Be in the know about your current affairs. If there is ever a time that you're in doubt, Topics on the Hill is here. Listening to Topics on the Hill.